Hey everyone, welcome to the Next Great Car Era, a podcast by EVTUNERS. I'm your host, Daniel Martin, and today I'm sitting down with the director of Electrify Showoff, Neil Tjin. Neil has been involved in the automotive space since 1995. He started with designing and building cars in the 10th grade as a hobby and quickly turned it into a business. Over the years, he has been in sales manager roles, marketing director roles, head of technology for NDRA and NIRA, and consulted for many major brands. Neil was the magazine editor for 8 years of HCI and B scene magazines, and he's worked with a ton of OEMs, including Toyota, Scion, Honda, Acura, Chevy, Pontiac, Hyundai, Ford, Porsche, and Dodge. Neil ran the Tjin Edition RoadShow for 15 years, doing over 250 shows nationally, and has built and designed over 170 cars for SEMA. Last year, his Mach E Mustang won Best Ford over the entire show. Within the nationally touring Electrify Expo is the Electrify Showoff car show, which Neil has built from the ground up. I'll be joining the show in San Francisco in a couple weeks, and so Neil and I sat down ahead of time to talk more about what is in store, what the future looks like for Showoff, and car culture in general. I had a blast chatting with Neil, and I hope you enjoy too.
Very cool. Well, thank you for your time today. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Neil. I've been really excited to sit down and chat with you, so let's dive into it, shall we?
Feelings mutual. I love things like this, so appreciate you.
Well, for everyone who doesn't know, maybe you can launch us in with just a little brief background about yourself.
Yeah, so I've been doing this since 1996. I know we talked a little bit, and I tell everybody it started in the tuner space. Now, of course, I'm heavily involved in the EV space, but dude, it just started as a hobby. I wasn't really into cars. I was into sports. I might have put it in our notes. We talked. I've been with my wife since 95. So it was really about girlfriend at the time in high school. And
yeah,
that actually led to cars. So
she was into cars first?
Say that again?
She was into cars first? Is that what you're saying?
We kind of got into it together. So you can't see this physique, but I'm pretty skinny, but it was funny. I wanted wheels in high school, and this is 95. So as you know, it was 17s, which sounds ridiculous now, but for a couple years, I couldn't work because I was 15 going on 16.
Yeah.
I saved all my lunch money eating Skittles and drinking a Pepsi. And don't laugh, I still do it to this day, but I was the first guy in my high school with a set of 17-inch wheels.
Nice.
And it's so funny. Eagle Vision, nothing special. TSW Stealths, which I think might still be around. But anyway, so I met my girlfriend at the time. Now she's my wife, has been for a while, but got into cars, and I just noticed the buzz around wheels. And I grew up in Miami. We would go to South Beach,
okay.
cruise up and down the beach. And from there, kind of the bug hit, as you know. And then we just started building cars. So we did stuff for Fast and Furious with a company called Bomex. We met a bunch of Japanese companies through the tuner scene. And it's funny, we would drive up and down the East Coast, and people would be like, don't laugh. They're like, who are these three Asian kids driving from Miami to Philly to New Jersey, New York, Chicago? And it wasn't a lot in Miami back then. It wasn't a lot on the East Coast. Everybody was in Cali. So met us, got into the industry. Like I said, people laugh. I didn't go to school for cars. I didn't go to school for design. I was a magazine editor for 8 years. I can't spell for bleep. Thank God for spell check. But, I just had a passion for it. I got to meet a lot of people. Yeah, I got to meet a lot of people like yourself through the magazine. That's how this whole Showoff team came together. I was part of NOPI Nationals, NDRA, NIRA, Hot Import Nights, Import Revolution, the whole 9 yards. We brought a lot of it to the East Coast. We brought partnerships to the East Coast because there was not a lot there. And it's funny because it was from Miami. It wasn't from LA. And from that, it turned into a hobby. I had a couple of marketing gigs, worked for a couple of agencies, and then we moved to California in 2003 to run Hot Compacts and Imports. It was HCI magazine. We used to compete with Super Street, Import Tuner. And from there, it just took off. I know that was a long spiel, but that's kind of how it just happened. Out of high school, from sports to cars, and then everything in between.
I love that though. I mean, the passion and how that leads to organic growth. It's really cool.
Yes,
Really
sir.
cool.
And we're very fortunate. Worked our tails off, like I said. And I think, in the 90s, there weren't really trailers. So we drove our cars up and down the East Coast, Midwest. My wife's car was actually the first Tjin Edition car to get to SEMA through Bomex. And we moved in 2003, so 2001. And we've been going to SEMA since 2001. So, yeah.
What edition you said?
So it's my last name. So Tjin Edition, Tjin.
Okay.
Yeah. So all our builds, that was the company, kept it pretty simple. And yeah, we've been doing builds for since 96, and I've been going to SEMA since 2001.
Are you going this year?
I'm going to try. So we'll get into, we have Miami 2 weeks before for Expo. And then we've got SEMA, and then we've got Austin the week after. So
Oof.
I do have a couple builds, but it's going to be a lot. We'll talk about this too.
Okay.
I just had a meeting with Dodge this morning. So we did a Dodge Durango, a Hellcat last year, 880 horsepower. So We're trying to do the first hybrid Hornet, which we're trying to build for SEMA and then get to Expo the week after. So to answer your question, yes, I don't know to what scope, because usually I go Saturday to Saturday. So I'm there for 7 days, then come home Sunday, but then I got to be in Austin on Wednesday. So
that's going to be nuts.
Yeah, I know. No, between October 12th and November 12th is Miami, SEMA, and Austin. So we'll see. But yeah, tentatively, yes. I haven't missed one in 22 years. So
then I will tentatively see you there.
Okay.
I'll be there Monday through Saturday.
Okay. Are you going for you guys?
Yeah, for us. I'm going as media.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'm just going to be walking around, shaking hands, seeing all of the cool stuff, and talking to people like you.
How many years have you been going?
This is going to be my first.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Get ready. You already know walking shoes.
Yes.
I'll tell you the good places to eat on site. Well, it'll be cool because the West Hall is open now. So the West Hall is really cool. And then the other secret, you know about the Tesla underground, right?
The tunnel?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never been to it though.
Saves you a ton of walking, because the West Hall to the South Hall to the Central Hall to the North Hall. Yeah, that's a lifesaver.
Sweet.
So any tricks you need to know, or any questions you have, let me know.
All right. Yeah, we'll link up. I'm excited. Should be very cool. These are the sorts of things, like I've been reading about SEMA since the same time period, late 90s, early 2000s, all of those events that you just talked about. Like I would see in the magazines, the pictures from those things. It's really exciting. And I'm glad to be able to be a participant now.
You can tell by your smile. Like I said, I still love it. Some people, it's a lot, but you'll love it. Tuesday morning with all the press conferences, all the cool stuff. Like I said, it's still fun. It's a lot of work, but like we said, once you get there, it's just meeting people like yourself. That's where everybody gets together. All my friends from home, from Miami, come out. People from overseas. So yeah, I'm excited for you to experience it for your first time.
It's going to be fun.
Yes, sir, for sure.
So, this is an awesome background, and we're going to talk more about the Showoff and what you're doing with that. But you've talked a little bit about building cars. So currently, as we're all car nuts, right? What cars are you driving right now?
So my daily is my Mach E and my Lightning. I enjoy my Lightning a little bit more. It's bigger, but I drove the Mach E. So the funny part too, we build all these cars for SEMA.
Yeah.
And it was like, not anymore as much, but you don't drive your SEMA cars. This is in general.
Yeah.
I won Best of Show Ford with the Mach E. It's my daily driver, and people don't believe me. They're like,
that's awesome.
Yeah. We beat out, it was best Ford overall. So that's classics, hot rods. It had never been done before, not only with an EV, but I'm probably one of the younger guys to do it. As you know, like the Ring brothers, there's some badass builders. So we were very fortunate, SEMA 2021. And then I drove it home with the Best of Show trophy in my back seat. People are like, so I drive every day. I drove
you buckle it in, right?
Yeah, I drove my Lightning there. I drove my Lightning home. So those are my daily drivers, both fully built, as you saw, and they're both, of course, EVs. And then my son is 14 now. His name is Colin. He's been in the cars. So we're actually doing an S15, an R34 sedan. We just picked up a 1976 BMW 2002, which will be his first car. And then a Honda Acti, little Honda Acti van. That
Oh,
we just
cool.
finished. Yeah, so I love that. That's for my daughter. We had a truck, sold it, bought a van, a little camper van, and then potentially the Hornet for Dodge, which I only say potentially because the car's not out yet. So typically, as you know, with some of these SEMA cars, we get them first or we get them early, and everything has to be prototyped as a one-off, which is the scary part. That's why I have no hair, because literally you have to build everything from scratch. So it's going to be wide body, working on wheels, wider wheels, brakes, suspension, interior, custom paint, and then they give you like 6 weeks to do it. So again, the reason I have no hair.
Yeah. Well, that is a lot. And you said you don't have you're all self-taught on this stuff, right?
Yeah, it just, like I said, I didn't go to school for it. Very fortunate, have a great team, painters, fabricators. I could see it in my head, but then I work with my rendering guys and we do a rendering. So you tell me a car, I can envision it. And that's been the cool thing. I think I put in the email, we've done about 170 SEMA cars, just in general, overall since 96, ranging from tuners to Euros to now EVs to plug-in hybrids. Done a bunch of cool stuff for Porsche. So yeah, it's all just over time. And that's what I tell my kids. It's like, yeah, you could go to school. For me, it was life on experience was a big difference, working for my dad, owning our own business, selling ground control coilovers,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And that's how we met. And that's why we had to go on the road. We had to go see people, talk to customers, talk to other builders. So yeah, for me, it was more life experience because 27 years on the road of doing this. So, but it's awesome because I get to meet people like yourself. I was up and coming, I didn't know anybody. I had mentors who taught me the ropes. And the cool thing is being able to share that now with people who listen to the podcast, people who see us at shows, now on social. It used to be more print.
Right.
The interaction all over the world is amazing.
Really is something special, car culture and the people that are in it. Do people ever ask you like what is car culture? Someone like yourself who's been in it, like the beating heart for so long. I'm really curious, like, how do you describe that to someone who maybe is just like stumbled upon a cars and coffee?
Yeah, it's honestly, it becomes a family. I've had partners for over 20 years. We do get new partners here and there, but I try to stay loyal. But it's me again. I'm so like I'm repeating myself. But it's like meeting guys like you. It's just out of nowhere. Hey, this guy knows this guy. Or today introducing you to the Tesla guys of Silicon Valley. It's like, oh, cool. I had a meeting with them. I'm like, have you met Dan? He's awesome. We're doing a podcast. It's coming to San Francisco. Oh, let's link them together.
Totally.
It just becomes, it becomes family. It becomes the cool thing too. It becomes about setting trends. That's what I call the vibe, the culture. We're doing it with Showoff right now. It's doing things that other people either haven't done or you want to do. And then you invite guys in. Like I said, I've seen, guys I went to high school with, my head judges who you'll meet in San Francisco, they're my high school buddies. And we
that's so cool.
Dude, probably 1,000 shows together, more. And the funny thing is we built cars together. If you go on my Instagram, his name is Lewis. He had a blue Eclipse on 3-star Antares. And I had a Acura Legend on chrome MHTs. Our first 2 cars. We'd go out with our girlfriends and they're like, let's hook up our cars. Let's go to South Beach. He's now my head judge 27 years later. So he's judging all my EV stuff. And then he travels the world. That's really car culture. And it's everywhere. I mean, we've been to Canada, Mexico, South America, Indonesia.
Wow.
The UK. Yeah, it's everywhere. Of course, Japan for Auto Salon. We went to Shanghai, you'll meet a gentleman who works for us at Expo. His name is Peter McGilvery. I went to Shanghai with him, shipped my 1,200 horsepower Camaro to Shanghai. We talked to the government, showed them about superchargers, air suspension. So it's everywhere. And that's the coolest thing about culture. I think you could still sense my passion. It's been a minute, but I love it, dude. I'm excited next week to come up and hang out with you and see the Ruin guys, and you'll be like, what's this? Who's this guy? And then honestly, you become friends. We'll link up at SEMA, we'll bro hug, we'll go have a pulled pork sandwich at the secret spot, and you'll be like, what the heck? And that's really what it's about. Friends become family over time. Man, I've opened shops with guys. My painters painted, the painter in Cali's painted probably 120 cars for me. The rest were painted in Miami. So it becomes fun. And I think that's the biggest thing about culture, because it's not just building cars or competing, even guys you compete against. I mean, I haven't competed in a while, but man, we used to battle. And now we're in our 40s and we're like, you remember those days? And the crazy part is now we have kids.
Yeah.
And our kids are starting to build cars. So I think that's the cool part about what we do.
I think that really resonates with me. I just got back from Buttonwill all weekend.
You told me.
Racing event. And you can even see it there. It's not show cars, but like everyone is just so excited to be doing the same thing and helping each other. Like someone's car breaks, like there's 3 people that are trying to like run over and help to make sure that they're back and can compete against each other. Right.
Yeah.
And
that's
when
the family atmosphere.
Yeah.
That's the culture. I would never leave you stranded. It's like, that's what we're all the same guys. Yeah, you're right. Track's the same, the NDRA, NIRA stuff. You're competing, but you're having a good time doing it.
So other than EV, I'm curious how the culture has changed over the years. And, has things like social media, has that made it easier, more accessible for people to get into it? Where do you see this going?
Yeah, it's changed. Like we talked about Miami. So it was magazines.
Yeah.
And even if we shot SEMA, even if I get in my rundown, it took a month at the earliest. We were fast. Sometimes it took 2 months for you to see SEMA coverage. Now you see SEMA coverage before SEMA. You see Showoff coverage before. So it's a couple ways it's changed. Even the partnerships, like when we were in Miami, putting proposals together, flying photographers to Miami. They're like, why Miami? Why Moroso? Now it's like, so for us, it was easier because we worked harder. We're not better than anybody. I'm a kid from South America. I'm nobody. I grew up in South America. My dad came to Miami. I figured out a passion, but again, I didn't go to school. I didn't have a ton of money. I didn't have a degree. I just like cars. I work hard. As you can tell, I'm passionate about it. So we had to do everything to get people to Miami. Yeah. And now it's easier and harder because everybody can do it.
Right.
So you go on Instagram, you can write an email, you can send out a proposal. So it goes both ways. And then it's harder to hide a project because social media, like now you could see anything and you see it right away. So it's got pros and cons on the social media. There's not really magazines anymore, which is kind of sad. Even though I just got my Mach E magazine, an EV magazine, which I still enjoy because it's print and I grew up in print.
Builder's Guide, right?
Yes. And I love it.
It's cool. It's cool.
It's super cool. And I mean, I got a really cool spread and I'm working with them to bring more EV content. So Jerome and those guys are super cool. And I was like, I don't remember. I'm trying to think the last time I was in print, but so that's different, but print's still the pinnacle. A magazine cover is invaluable. We used to tell people, if you got a magazine cover, you can't tell your partner it's worth $1 billion, because there's only 12 a year. Some magazines are only 6 a year. Now there's 1 a quarter. But I think that's changed a little bit. But the funny part is, I think the scene is kind of coming back. I tell people it comes full circle. You had the Fast and Furious days with the big wings and the neon lights and the Lambo doors. And it was a little too much. Then it went super clean. Like for me, I grew up with everything, by the way. I grew up in Florida. So you had lowriders, you had the Bajito tour, which is still around. one of our good friends, Alex from Hoppo Suspension. Again, he's a lowrider guru. And I met up with him. He actually he put my Mach E and Lightning on air suspension. And now he does all my air stuff.
Sweet.
He had no idea about EVs 2 years ago. What are EVs? And he'll see this podcast of, will I burn the car down? Will I electrocute myself?
Yeah.
Now he's into the space. He was in Long Beach. He's done 2 cars for me, but he's big in the lowrider scene, and the Bajito tour is still popping off. So he goes to all the shows. But I was in the lowriders, mini trucks, of course, tuners, street rods, hot rods, you name it. And it's coming full circle again. You know, it's funny, like you'll see the Ruin guys in San Francisco, and they cleaned house in Long Beach. Best crew, I think best sedan, best frunk. But guess what's in the frunk? Neon lights.
Mm-hmm.
Under the car, neon lights. So I think it's full circle. But what I tell everybody, it's like, enjoy what you do, and you're not going to be able to please everybody, which I think you'll see at SEMA. And that's what people ask a lot. How do you build your cars? Honestly, and I have no filter, I don't give a damn what people think. You can't. I don't like your bright colors. I didn't build it for you. You don't drive it every day. And you also got to keep your partners happy. So there's always that fine line. My younger brother, been in the industry with me the whole time. Complete opposite of me. And he'll see it. You're boring. I'm looking at you in the camera. You're boring. He likes black, white. He has a Type R. And then I like orange. And I like yellow. And I like pink. So do what you love, and you'll see that come around. Some people don't like me. Oh, you can't do neon lights. Why not? It's your car. Can't do this. It's coming full circle. Like you look at Fast 10 now, and I'm smiling because I just saw it with my son, and I still enjoyed it. But we were part of Fast and Furious 1. Mm-hmm. Fast and Furious 2 was in Miami. And you had the Supra with the comb, the gold, and people are like, what the frig? And then it went to super clean. And then it varies, and that's why the tuner side, I keep looking at your hat, and I'm so excited about the tuner space, because in our space, it's a little different. You have the conversions, and then you've got the new stuff, the OE stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit different. It's like taking a Civic back in the day, an EG, and putting, or an Accord and putting a Prelude motor. Yeah. We have a lot of both. And I think that's going to be fun, because you'll see lowriders, you'll see street rods and hot rods. You'll see BC's Porsches. You'll see Rywire has his S2000. Mm-hmm. He's now doing a Civic kit. And I'm not there yet because I'm so busy, but the BMW I talked to you about, the 2002, that'll eventually become electric. I want to do my Skyline and my S15. I'm getting some, I'm not going to say hate, but again, I don't care about it, but I might make my Skyline, my S15 EV. Just, I love it, but I'm learning a lot about it, because the older cars, something funny you'll see at SEMA when you talk to people, the older cars are older. So you hear everything. And I never thought about that. You hear the clanks, you hear the suspension, you hear the door creak. So people are like, you have to think about it. Do you really want that? Because the Mach E's brand new. The Lightning's brand new. They don't make noise. Right. So lots of little variables to learn. Sorry, I went off on a tangent, but it's fun. I love it. You hear all these different things as you're on the road. But I think the industry continues to progress as we're talking about in the EV space. But then a lot of things that we saw in the tuner space are now coming to the EV space. So I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest with you.
It's exciting. That's why I chose the name, The Next Great Car Era, for this podcast, because it feels, this energy that we're all kind of living through feels very reminiscent of these other, we look backwards at like, oh, the 90s, oh, the 60s. Everyone is lamenting that it's not like that anymore, but it kind of is now. We're at the very cusp of something super cool. And it's like an awesome time to acknowledge that and then just like enjoy it, surf the wave, so to speak.
Yeah, and you're open to it. I mean, not everyone is. I think they're coming around to it, but you almost said it perfectly. That's what I said when we started Showoff. It's the next wave. Like you said, we weren't in the 60s or 70s, but early 80s, the 90s, of course, the 2000s, the early 2000s, and now it's what you said. For us, it was the tuner era, then the Euro era. Like now, look at right-hand drive cars. I have three. My brother has one, and they were cool. Then they weren't that cool. Then they were cool again. Then the price skyrocketed. Then you have all your Porsches, your BMWs. It comes back around, but we are in the next wave. I think the OEMs see it. I think the partners see it. I think media, as yourself, see it. Show organizers, and then fellow designers and builders. I think we all see it's coming. It's just how open are you to the next wave, to the future, is what's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, it will. So let's talk about Showoff and how that fits into the expo at large. So
Yes,
Electrify Expo, and then Showoff is one piece of that. There's like a ton of stuff going on. Paint a picture for me.
So you're coming in a week and a half. So yeah. I'm smiling because it's super exciting. So what I tell people, so Showoff is an entity within Expo, and I'll get to that for you, but Expo is not a car show. It truly is a festival. It is massive. So you'll be able to come and hang with us in Showoff, but you'll also be able to do Expo. So we have micromobility, which is the e-bikes and the scooters and the razors and the one wheels. And then you'll have the motorcycle section where we have the high speed course. And then we also have the kids section, which is called the fun zone, where you can bring your kids, your nephew, your nieces. So that's it's awesome. A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And again, I've done a billion car shows as of you. They get redundant over time. It's only cars. And I love talking to people. You could tell I can't shut up, but it's only so much you can do. So for me, the fun part is I could bring my family, I could come with my friends, but you could do Showoff. You could hang in the lounge. You could check out the vendors. You could check out the show cars. We'll hang with you and do a podcast. But then you can make your way around the venue. Dude, you can ride literally e-bikes the entire day, 20, 30 different e-bikes. You can go ride e-motorcycles, e-scooters. The cool thing about Showoff, besides it's also very friendly, family friendly, because there's kids from my nephew who came, who was 4. He rode the e-go-kart all day in the kids zone. My older nephews rode bikes. One of my nephews wanted to buy a scooter, so he came to test drive all the scooters. So the cool part is this is the one place you can come and test ride everything. So if you're looking for a bike, Jackrabbit or Super or a Coffin motorcycle, here's where you come. You can ride them all day. And then we also have all the OEMs. I think you saw we have more OEMs than some auto shows, and some of our competitors are like a tenth of ours. I think we're up to 15 OEMs. But the cool thing,
wow,
you could come test drive a Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
Colin's basketball coach came. He wanted to drive the Lightning and the Mach E. Hopped in line, got to drive the Mach E and Lightning around Long Beach. I think we had a couple BMWs, Kia. There's everybody. So Chrysler. So it's really cool because you get to now come play. It's a giant playground. You can hang out with Neil, but you'll be bored of me in 10 minutes. Go get some McGuire's goodies, go check out Yoko, but then go ride some e-bikes, and that's the cool thing. That's the difference between us and other shows. Showoff is an entity within Expo. Expo is a gigantic, friendly, family-oriented festival. And that's the cool part, because you won't be bored. And the best part, I just told a friend, it's cheaper to get into Expo than to watch a movie. It's $20,
that's awesome. Yeah.
Which is, you can just ride bikes all day for $20. You can just test drive Lightnings all day for $20. And we have a lot of fun stuff. We team with Ford and do Cars and Coffee Saturday morning. We had crepes in Long Beach. So there's a bunch of stuff you can do. I could promise you this, in the 2 days, you won't get bored because there's so much different activities.
I'm going to do them all as much as I can.
I'll join you. I'll have Lewis do the judging once we're set up. But yeah, we'll take you to some fun ones. There's like some BMX e-bikes. Like I said, there's some smaller e-bikes. And then we have a track. So you got to remember, there's, I think, 5 different tracks throughout the venue. So the high-speed course is where you can test drive the motorcycles. The kids zone, a bunch of stuff. Yeah, let's Let's have a killer time together. It'll be fun.
This is going to be great. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I'm excited.
So then for the Showoff component, you're
sir.
the director of that. This is your vision. You talked about envisioning car builds, but now you're using that skill. You're envisioning a car show.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what you like, what your vision is for that, and what is the vibe that you're going for? What have you pulled from to kind of like create this?
Yeah. No, that is an awesome question. So Expo's been around 3 years. This is our third year. BJ Burtwell and his team put it together. I've known BJ since the 90s. He used to be the marketing director at Meguiar's. So we were partnered with Meguiar's, I think in 98, 99. I used to see BJ with my wife and my brother at all the races. And then, so 3 years ago, he reached out to me. They came to Orange County, went to the show, was super cool, was just Expo. Corners me at SEMA. Hey, I have a vision. Can you come to Austin next week? As you know, it was 5 days after I told him no. I'm like, you're crazy. I'm tired. I haven't seen my family in 2 months. Dumb butt Neil ends up on a plane, gets to Austin on Saturday, met up with BJ. Austin's one of our biggest shows.
Okay.
So it was awesome. It's like, met him, walked the show, didn't tell me what it was about. No inclination of Showoff. Walk the show, experience it, love it, have a good time. We get together after, and he tells me about his idea for Showoff. And the light bulb went off. So we just started talking. So just so you know, this entire entity came together like in 6 months. And I mean everything. The name, the branding. That's why my eyes are also half closed. The trophies, the stickers, the swag, the pins, the judging criteria did not exist in January. I'm not even kidding to you. Did not exist. So we get together and he's like, build this. And I knew it was going to be a lot of work. And I know he's watching this. It was so much more work. And he knows it. It's because we built it.
You thought it was
scratch.
here. It was here.
Oh, Jesus. And the funny part, before I get to where it could be, everybody had a blast at Long Beach. Yes, it was tiring. It was exhausting. Because I'll give an example. When I get to SEMA, I'm done. Like my builds are done. I can enjoy. I can do my interviews. But for me, getting to SEMA Saturday is the end. Yeah. Showoff's opposite. I get on site Wednesday and it's like, got to park all the vendors, park the cars, get the trophies, get the wristbands, build your lounge. It's opposite. So for me, when I got there Wednesday, it was like, holy smokes. But I'll tell you the vision for it, but it all came together. Like you said, the culture, the vibe, the music, the food, the colors. It comes from everything. It comes from my kids' apparel. It comes from shoes. It comes from real estate, houses, container homes. Our lounge is colorful milk crates that we build couches out of milk crates. We've been to shows like Complex Con, Designer Con, everything. So I didn't want it to be just a regular car show. Yeah. I wanted, like you said, the vibe. And Expo had its own vibe. And it was, I'm not going to say older, more corporate, but it had a more professional feel. Mm-hmm. Not that Showoff does it, but Showoff brings in the youth, brings in the culture, the keywords, the vibe, all that. So we have different music. Music is a big factor. We have a really awesome DJ. So you walked into Long Beach. As soon as you walked through the gate, the music was playing, hip hop, R&B, reggae. So just a different vibe.
Nice. Yeah.
You know, as soon as you walk in, you're like, oh, you start moving your shoulders. You have a good time. Even the models, just professional. Not going to say other shows a little skanky, none of that, but super cool, professional, handing out swag, talking about the vendors. We have really cool partners like Yoko, like Meguiar's, like Toyo, different vendors like that. So it's really fun. And then what's cool too, so the vibe is completely changed. Like I said, the food, everything you can think of, I can already see your mind going crazy. So everything you can think of, I've tried to incorporate into our section. Right now, Showoff was the car show and the vendors. That's step one. I want to build it. Like I said, I worked for Nopi Nationals. We had 7,000 cars, 1,500 vendors. Over the next year to 2 years, we have a 3 to 5 year plan. Okay. You're going to have motorsports. So gentlemen like that we're friends with, Von Gittin Jr. and his 1,400 horsepower Mach E. We want to do demos, drifting, rallycross. Super cool. So now a lot of these guys are into the e-motorcycles, doing motorcycle demos like Nitro. The car show guys want to do demos in their car. How cool would it be for you to get a ride in a 64 Galaxy around the course? Mm-hmm. So there'll be Showoff, there'll be performance, motorsports, rallycross. Then there'll be the whole outdoor experience, overland. No one's touched out the off-road stuff. So like my Lightning, you'll start having trucks and van life and camper life. So that's a whole nother section. Then you've got your e-bikes. You can tell there's so much going on. Yeah. Then you've got your e-bikes. Super 73, Rayvolt, Jackrabbit. Imagine 200-300 custom e-bikes. That space hasn't been tapped. You've got seats, wheels, pedals, paint. So you could build a custom e-bike. We're going to have probably, I'll take you around 20 custom e-bikes in San Francisco. So that's going to build.
Dang, so that's crazy.
Yeah. So the car show will build. Right now we're about, the scene is new. So our goal is 75 to 100 EVs, which is a lot. Eventually that'll be 200-300 EVs, 200-300 bikes, 200-300 trucks, all your motorsport stuff, your drifting, your rallycross. And then another area we want to do, the coolest thing about EVs is how fast they are 0 to 60. Mm-hmm. So we want to have a launch pad. Imagine a Lightning and a Taycan taking off. Where else can you experience that? So the potential for Showoff is enormous. That's what gets me the most excited, because not many people have been in Vaughn's 1,400 horsepower Mach E. I have, and I'm still shaking. It's terrifying. But how cool would that be if you could see drifting at our events?
Yeah.
So we're going to build that, but it's all around, back to your beginning, the culture, the vibe, the future, because there's guys and girls that want to see it happen. And that's what we have to get to, but we have to educate too, because right now it is a lot of Teslas. Tesla was first. There's a billion Teslas, but we work with Ford, we work with Porsche, we work with Dodge. How do we get the next wave of builders? Rivian, BMW, Volvo, stuff like that, Pulsar. How do we get to see more and more customs? Because this is another question, which I'm sure you're going to ask. I could read your mind. It's just a car. Why are people don't understand? Yes, the motor's different, maybe the drivetrain, but it's still a car. And this is what I try to tell people. My Lightning, the only difference between my Lightning and the F-150s I built, it's electric. Now I have a frunk. I can put stuff in the frunk, my air suspension, my cooler, stuff like that. But it's the same. My Mach E wasn't any different than my Edge. I put it on air. You could do Recaros. You can paint it. You can do a lip kit. So I'm really excited to help people understand that through your platform and other platforms, that you can build your Mach E. You can build your Taycan. You could build your Rivian, stuff like that. So I think that's going to be exciting, and Showoff is going to be the place. I really believe we are not just the show, but with Expo and Industry Day, we're the leaders in that space. And it touches back to what we talked about earlier. It's going to go worldwide. Stuff's ahead of us in the UK. Stuff's ahead of us in Australia. We have friends in Indonesia, friends in Japan, Canada, even Mexico, which is south of me. So I think it's going to be exciting to see where the States goes. And then as we go more global.
My mind is like racing right now. It's so awesome. The what you touched on about it's still a car. I think that's really an important message, because people sometimes they see an EV and they're like, oh, well, what do we do with it? It's like, well, actually 90% of that is the same as every other car on the road. You just have a different method of propulsion. And this comes up at the track all the time. It's like, I'm going to dudes that have been racing since, they were kids and asking about suspension and tires, and it's all the same. And I'm just like a sponge learning from that. And then they go, oh, you're driving a Tesla? Well, what's that like? And I go, well, it's really interesting. We got this, I have regen, so that kind of actually helps the braking, and there's heat soak, which is basically just like pulling timing when the engine is overheating. It's all of these similarities and connections, and it's really interesting. I can't wait until there's more OEMs. I think it's just a volume thing because Tesla has been first, but when there's more Mustang, Mach E's and others on the road, people are going to buy them up, and then they're going to be doing the same thing.
You're right. And see, the thing about I figured about the EV space, you have open-minded people, like the guys asking you about your Tesla, and you still have closed-minded people. Like, I got it this weekend. You drive a toaster, and I'm making this stupid face because I don't even want to curse on this. It's the dumbest effing car. Okay, I get it, but you're an idiot. Why is it a toaster? I guess it's a cool toaster. Could it be a toothpick? Could it be a marshmallow? I get it, but I've worked for Vortec. I've had 1,200 horsepower cars.
Yeah.
The funny part, the Durango Hellcat was 880 horsepower. Super fast, loud ass exhaust, big wheels, bright color. It was 3.6. My Lightning was 3.8. And my Lightning feels faster off the line because it's electric.
Yeah.
But it's a toaster. Okay, well, my toaster kicked the shit out of your toaster. I'm like, I've seen it. I've had a 1,200 horsepower Skyline. I've had a 1,200 horsepower Camaro, the one that went to Shanghai. I get it. In fourth gear, you can drop it on the 5 and you spin 24th. I get it. But the close-minded people about it's a toaster, it's not cool, it doesn't make noise. Okay, my brother built a Mustang, and maybe I'm old, maybe I'm used to EVs, and I even told my friends at Ford, it's loud and obnoxious. I drove it to Long Beach because my car was and my ass rattled.
Yeah.
45 miles. Maybe now I'm spoiled. And I told Ford this. I get it. I've been in a Mach E and a Lightning. My Acti has 6 horsepower. My BMW 2002 has 8 horsepower. They're not super loud. But I've been in a Durango. So I think, to your point, people need to understand that. A Mach E, a Tesla. Teslas get hated on more too because there's more. Yeah. But what's the difference between a Mach E and my Mustang GT or my EcoBoost? Yes, the EcoBoost is turbocharged. I had a Vortex supercharger, 660 horsepower. I'm not going to lie to you. My Mach E is faster. Why? Doesn't have, that's the fun of an EV. And I didn't even know this because when I drove my Lightning the first time, I was like, there's no way it's as fast as the Durango, as the Hellcat. There's no chance. And I floored it, like we said in the launch pad, and I was like, crap.
Oh.
And I Googled it. Because Ford doesn't tell you. I came home and I Googled it. 3.6 for the Hellcat, 3.8 for the Lightning. And you're like, that's this. 0.2 seconds, gentlemen. So I think that people are open-minded to it. And even people who came to Long Beach that didn't know any better. They're like, oh, this is pretty cool. But again, I don't get it. But let me not say that. When we were in the 90s, Civics are rice rockets. Remember that? They're stupid. They're dumb. Why are you driving a 4-cylinder? It'll never run 10s. Yeah, okay. Welcome to the club. So it was. Then
it was, well, it'll never run 9s.
Yeah,
it'll never run 8s.
Yeah, and then guys again, like BC and Ben Ma and Sean Carlson told everybody to shut the hell up. Because it's possible.
Yeah.
You can't build a cool EV. My Mach E won Best of Show Ford. Not Best Mach E, not Best Orange Car. The design team of Ford Motor Company picked the toaster and won Best of Show, not of the booth, of the entire SEMA show. You know how many cars go to SEMA? You know how many Fords go to SEMA? So I think that's the fun part. And we just, like, again, we need to go back and educate people that you can, yes, I get the range if you do bigger wheels. I have 22s and I have 24s.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same thing with the Civic that used to run 13s, 14s. There were Civics with 18s, which was big. I know dumb butts that had 20s on their Civics.
Nice.
Yes, it's not fast, but it is what it is. And that's the cool part about our culture. Again, there's no right or wrong.
No.
You might have completely different taste to me. You might see the Mach E and be like, you're driving a giant orange. I'm okay with that. But you might love bright colors, so I don't think there's a wrong. And that's the cool part about our scene. You could build a race Mach E. You race your Tesla. I respect the crap out of that because it's cool. And you go on YouTube videos and you're like watching these guys in Teslas or Rivians around the track at Willow Springs at Sebring.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's cool seeing a Taycan on the track with a GT3.
Yeah, it's totally cool.
Yeah. So I think it's the more we educate people, the more open-minded they get, I think it'll become fun.
I think the people who there's a difference in seeing it in real life and chatting with someone and like just reading it on the internet, because when you're in real life, you realize that like it's not nearly as divisive. And I'm always going up and going, oh, I love this Mustang. I've been hanging out with all the Mustang guys this weekend, and each one I just like cars, and everyone is different. And it's great to learn about that and all of the different, models and makes and all of that. It's just car people, and the EV versus gas kind of melts away because you're just excited, and then you choose what's right for you. And if you're for me, I'm really interested in performance, and so the EV, it fits the bill for me, and it's a new challenge. That's another thing that I've talked to a lot of folks, that have been doing this for a long time, like builders, the BCs and the Rywires. They're like, I've seen so many builds before, but this is new. It's a new challenge, and that's exciting. So it's like, well, sure, I could build a car that is going to do A, B, and C, but like that's been done. I want to try something that's never been done. And that creativity juice starts flowing, and that is even more exciting.
Yeah, you have to push the envelope. I think I mentioned to you, I've known Ryan and BC a long time, BC for longer. And like you said, and it's also cool because it opens up another avenue for business. Yeah. And for their customers. It's like, Ryan's done everything with the Civic. So when he's like, I'm going to make an electric, and you see the batteries and you see everything, you're like, whoa, it brings us back to when we were in high school. It's something new. It's something different. When you see BC's Porsches, both performance Porsches and driven Porsches, you're like, holy crap, it is really cool. And then you see like the conversion stuff, because I got to ride in the 64 Galaxy, Mike and the guys from the Conductive, and I was like, yeah, it's so different. It's what, 50 years old, 60 years old. My mouth is off right now, and then it's all electric. And then you're driving it through Long Beach, and you're like, damn. And that's where it came out. People like, I'd love to ride in Mike's car. And Mike's like, I'd love to give demos in my car. When are you going to get to ride in a 64 Galaxy that won best EV conversion, or get to see, or BC's Porsche? Those things you don't get to do. We're going to bring that to the table at Showoff. We're going to bring that to the table at Expo for media, for our special guests, for fellow car show participants. And that's what's cool. But yeah, like you said, it's all cars, dude. It's like, it's life. It's sports. Yeah. It's family. Like, I get somewhat, I laugh, but I get annoyed when people are closed-minded because we've been through this. Why can't you build a Euro? Why can't you build a classic? Why can't you build a lowrider?
It's the same thing. Yeah.
All the same. And it's your preference. If you call me next week, hey, let's build a tank together. No, Dan, that's stupid. Why? It's cool. Let's do something different. I don't know if I told you, we had a Batmobile at Long Beach, and it was electric, outside the box. We had sand cars. We had everything. We had I forget what it is, but it was basically a yellow Bullet. They called it the Banana. It went 359 miles an hour. We had record. So there's all kinds of cool stuff. But again, why be closed-minded to it? And that, I think that's cool with, again, your platform, Showoff, the EV magazines, the EV social pages. It allows people to express themselves, and it allows people who are interested in seeing it. And you brought up a great point. In person is so different. Online, the forums, comments in IG, come experience it. Come to Showoff, come to Expo. come to some of your track events, because once you experience it, it's not the same as reading it online.
Yeah. So, perfect segue. There's going to be links and stuff in the show notes, but tell folks about San Francisco, where they go if they want details and how they get there, and then maybe where the next one is after that.
Yeah, so we are in San Francisco soon. Not sure when this airs, but pretty soon. June 24 and June 25, which is in 2 weeks from today, in San Francisco at Alameda Point. It's going to be awesome. It's on the water. We've got the San Francisco skyline behind us. Like I said, we've got everything we talked about earlier. So that'll be fun. You can go to electrifyexpo.com and then you'll see a bunch of tabs, but /Showoff to get Showoff information. We'll have goodie bags. We'll have swag. Please come by. If you come by the show, it's only $20. We've got some show specials where it's $10, cheaper than a hamburger. So please come out, enjoy the show. Also on Instagram and LinkedIn for you older guys like me. People still use LinkedIn. It's popping off. Electrified Showoff, Electrified Expo. We post a ton of content. We can answer questions on there, but it's cool. So we have San Francisco end of June, and then we're going to Washington, D.C. in July. We're going to New York in August, back to the West Coast, Seattle in September, and then back my home stomping ground in Miami, October 14, October 15, and then we end the year in Austin. Come out to Austin. Austin is a banger, as the kids like to say.
Okay.
We end in Austin, and we have a 3-day event in Austin. We have Industry Day Friday, where Dan, you should either come out, talk, meet people. BC's done it. That's where all the big heavyweights come out to talk, smooth, meet people. So we have that the week after SEMA, and then and then we get ready for 2024. That's going to be a whole nother animal, new cities, more shows, potentially expanding globally. And then Showoff will grow. So the cool thing about Showoff, every show you come to, we will grow little by little. More cars, more vendors, more media, more show participants, but then also what we talked about, potentially the motorsports, the overland, the e-bikes, the launch pad, stuff like that. So we're always progressing. Dan, I would love your feedback after you experience it. My mind doesn't stop. How do we make it better? How do we make it cooler for the enthusiasts, for fans, for spectators? Again, just like your podcast, let's keep kicking ass and doing fun stuff, dude. That's all it's about. 26 years. I know you've been in this for decades. Let's keep having fun and keep doing cool stuff.
That sounds awesome. I'm excited for here in a couple of weeks, and then really excited for the trajectory of this, and stoked to help in any way I can. And we're going to make it happen, man.
Yeah, we appreciate you. It's guys like you. It's guys like us. It's our friends. It's our industry that's going to push this. And like you said, dude, let's look back. We'll do a podcast. I'm sure we'll do many more, but in a year or 5 years, I'm like, remember we talked about this and people were closed-minded, or we didn't know what was happening. And we thought we were going to get electrocuted or run out of miles. And now it's the norm. But it's everything we've gone through. I go through it on a daily basis. I need charging stations. You've been to the track. Okay, how do I plan? I got to get charged. Then I'm going to race X amount of miles, beat the crap out of my car. Where's the charging station on the way home? That's all going to become the norm. You know, we'll end with this on my end. Do you remember the Nopi Nationals had the Nopi tours?
Yeah.
And we used to lead the one from Miami. That's coming. That's another entity that's coming to Showoff and Expo. How do the Ruined guys, other car clubs, we are going to do a Electrified Showoff tour from LA, from New York, from Miami, all congregating in Austin. Yes, it's scary. Yes, we have to figure out our mileage. Yes, we have to stop to charge. We get it. But if no one does it, it's like, oh my God, you're crazy. You're going to drive. Driving to San Francisco, it's 7 hours. We work with a friend, Matt Teskey. He owns a charging app, ChargeWay. How do you figure out where to stop? Everything you go through on a daily. We're working with Tint World. from Miami. We're doing a whole tour from Orlando to Miami. people want to push the envelope.
Yeah.
That will be part of Showoff going forward. You and me will take a trip to Seattle, or you'll come down and lead a group from San Francisco. Would be super dope if Dan and EVTUNERS leads 50, 60, 100 cars down the 5 or down PCH. So all those things will happen, but appreciate you, appreciate your platform, appreciate your support. And like I said, it'll be funny in a couple years when we're like, we see it. We just have to work together to get to that point.
That's a perfect vision to end on. I love that.
Yes.
And thank you so much, Neil, as well. Really appreciate you too. This has been an absolute pleasure to sit down and chat with you. Lots more to come. We'll talk to you very shortly here and see you in San Francisco.
Yeah, see you in a couple of weeks. Safe travels, and let's have a great time. We'll find bikes to. We won't race. We'll see which bikes we like better.
Sounds like a plan.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you. Bye.